let's backtrack a little bit because, that was definitely a life-changing experience. Unfortunately, you had to go through that. And, as a high school kid, right, you don't want to have to even think about that, right? So let's talk a little bit more, whatever you're willing to share. Like after that, you had the brain surgery, right? And I'm assuming everything was clear, nothing returned or anything. You can share about that too. But what was your health and fitness? How did that impact, I guess, your lifestyle, health, and fitness? Besides looking into the research now, like, did you have to take certain considerations in? Were there certain restrictions with like what you could do for the next year or two, or
Yeah.
kind of explain some of that? What was the obstacles that you had to overcome?
Yeah. So after the operation, first of all, I was put on anti-seizure medication, which I had to take for more than a year. And that was a real challenge because combined with the inflammation from the actual operation, the neuroinflammation plus that medication, it slowed me down. I was unable to perform in school. So, prior to that, I had done well in school. It came relatively easily to me. And then I remember, for example, having a tutor coming to my home to teach me history. And that tutor asked me to repeat the sentence she had just read to me 5 seconds earlier. And I couldn't repeat it because I couldn't remember it. Like that's how far I had fallen from where I once was, right? And I was taking physics and some advanced courses, statistics, and I had to try to keep up with all of that, which was an enormous challenge. It was also eye-opening in the sense that I could understand what it felt like to have a learning disability, for example, to not really be able to keep up with things and how humbling that experience was. I mean, not only that, prior to the surgery, there was a procedure where they turned off different areas of my brain prior to doing the surgery just to see exactly what they might be messing with when they removed the tumor. And as part of that, they turned off my speech. So they showed me a banana and they said, "Chris, what is this?" And I had no idea that they were doing this. I didn't know what to expect. And so the first thought in my mind was, do you think I'm stupid? I don't know what a banana is. I've known what a banana was since I was like 3 years old, right? And I tried to say banana and it came out as banana. I couldn't actually articulate words. And again, that was a humbling experience to be able to feel how frustrating that could be. And so to your point of, how difficult the experience was and not ever wanting to go through that, especially as a high school student, although I agree with that and I would never want to go through it again, it was also one of the greatest gifts I was ever given. I was forced into that position. But by being in that position and then choosing to try to derive lessons from it and to emerge stronger in a better place from it, I was able to grow a lot from that experience. Back to your question, other things. So I wasn't able to play contact sports. So I had played on the high school football team. I was no longer able to play. In fact, I went from Friday nights hanging out with friends from the football team and so on to spending them alone writing poetry about my experience and about life and so on. So it was majorly transformative in that way as well. I wasn't supposed to weightlift for a few months. I kind of snuck it in the basement of my parents' house that I grew up in. And then in terms of coming back, I set a goal for myself. So there was something known as the National Physical Fitness Championships that the United States Marine Corps hosts in San Diego, California. And I had read about it in the newspaper and I was inspired by it because I had always been really into physical fitness before this happened to me. And I said, this is a great goal for me to set for myself to not only get back to where I was, but to exceed where I was. And it included things like pull-ups and push-ups and sprints and long jump and so on. And I qualified and I placed 7th in the United States. So this was just over a year after coming out of the surgery, maybe roughly speaking, maybe 18 months later in my senior year of high school. And so I was very happy, fortunate to be alive, to be able to do that, and then to have succeeded. I didn't get first, that's what I wanted, but ultimately I was happy with the outcome.
Thanks so much for sharing that. I mean, that alone, you're going to inspire a lot of people. And I can tell it says a lot about how you persevere through things, your drive, even your character of this is, like you said, you emerge stronger, right, from this, because we all have our own ways to overcome obstacles, adversity and stuff. But this is, it's a no, like just regular daily adversity, right? You have to really look at yourself, kind of reflect. And it also led you down this passion and career path, right, that you're doing now to try to really understand some of the influences, not only of what you went through, but just influences of what affects our body at the cellular level, right? So, I mean, thanks so much for sharing that. A lot of people, I work with people going through injuries, granted, not that extreme, right? Everyone has their own kind of obstacles that they're facing, but that is a huge aspect, is to shift your entire lifestyle whenever you suffer through any type of injury that's going to take a long time to recover, right? So thanks so much for sharing that.
Sure. And Andrew, I just want to say, like, when comparing what I've been through versus what other people go through in their lives, I actually think that it's not fair to say what I went through was harder than what someone else is going through, because sometimes the more extreme health issue like I'm going through, it kind of shocks you into a different mindset, and then you behave differently and so on. And sometimes the day-to-day frustrations of, being in pain or something else is more wearing on people. So I try not to compare what I've been through and say that it was harder than what someone else is going through, because it's all subjective. We all have different minds and we interpret experiences differently. Yes. But with that said, I think just the overall message of trying to learn from the experience and trying to grow from it and setting goals for yourself to achieve and try to motivate yourself or have people in your life that can help to motivate you. Mm-hmm. I think that that's the most important thing, regardless of what you're going through, regardless of how difficult it is.
Yes, that's very true. Thank you for sharing that too. For all of us, we can all take something. We can always learn from all of these struggles, obstacles, adversities. And like you said, set goals for yourself. And I like that you strive to push your body physically too. And you competed. I mean, 7th place in the nation, right? It's nationwide. That is a huge feat. And I'm so glad that you got back into everything that you could do physically and started to push yourself there, because I know that was a huge aspect of your life, right?